What's up, guys? It is time for happy hour. Cheers, guys. Y'all, it is Wednesday, July 22nd, and Wednesday is over. Time to put something in your glass. Time to have a little fun. Time to jam out to some good tunes. Needed a little something bubbly on the music side to match our bubbly topic of the wine nerd topic for today. Tried to go with, little JT, little Trolls movie. But guys, I want to know where you are, what you're drinking. Drop into the comments, say hi. I want to know who's in the house today. Okay, guys, Rinda, always first. I feel like you jumping in the comments before I've even gotten going, and I love it. Eating cheese and crackers and having awesome Hope wine. What is up, Tiffany? Good to see you in the comments. Ken in San Antonio, drinking wine. You're drinking wine and cheese? Are you drinking your cheese? You're probably eating your cheese, but, maybe you got some queso. I don't know. Elise in Canyon Lake. What is up, friend? Having some German Riesling. I love it. Brian, what is up? Good to see you there. Doug and Monet and Alan. Love it. Alta in Frisco, having 17 Zen. Having some bulgogi bowls later. I like that pairing. I really do. That is so savory with the bulgogi bowls is really just going to make the Zen fruit sing, I think. Rick from Tulsa checking in. White Rhone blend from Domaine de Bosquet from Gigonda. Love White Rhone. None of us drink enough White Rhone blends, I don't think. There's just some amazing, amazing wines down there. I love it. Jennifer and Alan, listening remotely, not drinking, driving back from the hill country. Hopefully it's a beautiful drive. I made that drive out to the vineyard and back today, and it was just gorgeous. The sun is out. The temperature's not too hot. Eric, howdy from Alan, another Alan person. Love it. Drinking the 17 Annie's Black Mourvèdre. Eric and Asha drinking water for now in San Antonio. Good to see you guys. All right. I think it's about time for us to get things kicked off with some incredible wine, both from William Chris, and then again during the Wine Nerd section talking about Franciacorta today. So I'm super stoked. Hopefully it'll be a new to you guys wine. Not a lot of people know about Franciacorta, so it's going to be fun. Also, not a lot of people, very few in fact, have actually had my wine of the day. So while you guys are dropping in to the comments, if you haven't said hi yet, I want to share with you what I'm drinking. And guys, this is the first time I've had this wine, other than when it was in production. I got to taste this wine out of Concrete Egg, because that's what we aged it in. And I was bugging Tony and the winemaking team all the time. When are you going to bottle it? When are you going to bottle it? I was going and pulling little glasses of Picpoul straight from the Concrete Egg and drinking them because it was that good. It was still in the middle of aging, hadn't gone through bottling, and I was already that in love with the wine. So I'm super, super stoked about this wine. Again, first time I'm getting to have it. It got bottled not too long ago. Not a lot of people have access to this either. It's going out to our white and rosé folks. It's in our white and rosé shipment, which if you're a wine club member, you can opt into if you don't already opt into white and rosé. So let's talk about it for a sec, okay? First up, the label. And in these really cool long, slender bottles, you notice this is the long, tall, skinny bottles that are similar to some Riesling bottles. The Picpoul bottles from the home region of Picpoul, which is Picpoul de Pinet, so it's the Pinet region, also have these long, slender bottles. So here's the label. Let me get this back from the camera a little bit. So Picpoul Blanc from the Timmins Estate Vineyard in the Texas High Plains. So you guys are probably already familiar with that vineyard. We're getting the Picpoul from it now. And this is the 2019 vintage. All right. So hopefully you guys have had Picpoul before. If you haven't, this grape is from southern France along the coast, kind of in the Provence area. Really great, crisp style white wine, usually really high in acid. So, you know, like here on the nose, I'm getting a little bit of white flower, a little bit of lemon lime, some citrus. Woo! Guys, that is a tart wine. It's very tart, which Picpoul is supposed to be, which makes it really great when it's really cold, when the wine is really cold and it's hot outside. Same, you know, that acid, I'm still salivating. That's why we love lemonade in the summer. We love that refreshing acidity. So guys, this is it. Like if you wanted a tart, crisp white wine from William Chris that is like crushable by the case in the summer, on the boat, at the pool, by the grill, in the front yard, walking around the neighborhood like I do each night, watching the sun go down, you're gonna want like cases of this wine. And we didn't make very much at all, unfortunately. And I think I've already claimed like half the production. So y'all better get on it. That's all I'm saying. Cheers, guys. Happy hour. It's Wednesday, July 22nd. We made it through hump day. Is the downhill for the rest of the week. We can do this. Oh, gosh. So tart on the back where it just like almost makes your lip pucker. I love that. This would go so well food-wise. Guys, you want seafood with this if you can. Thinking seared scallops with some garlic basil butter. That acid will cut through the scallops. Man, garlic and this would go so well together. You could do some shrimp provençal, would also be great with this. But if you can do it, try this with fish and some. Oh man, this would just be great right now. Fish on the grill, even. Okay. Guys, I could speak forever about Picpoul and my love for it. I'm sure some of our staff is out there laughing at me because I always talk about Picpoul, and I'm so happy that I, don't have to give my money to other wineries. Now I can give my money to William Chris and buy William Chris Picpoul. So, all right, guys, I'm going to check in with a couple more folks in the comments. Who have I not said hi to before we jump into the wine nerd section? So pour a little bit more for you. We're about to jump into a nerdy wine section today about a wine you've probably never heard of. So Reed, what is up? Going to pick wine, probably getting a Vinho Verde. Also great choice. Picpoul and Vinho Verde, guys, is actually really closely related. So if you like Picpoul, you'll probably like Vinho Verde. If you like Vinho Verde, you probably like Picpoul. So good little combo there, Reed. Lynette, you're in Ovila, recovering from back surgery last week. Oh, I hope you're okay. Not taking pain meds today, so may try some Mary Ruth. Awesome. Well, hopefully that'll put you in good spirits. And what is up in Lafayette? You've got a bottle of Picpoul arriving there tomorrow. Okay, good, because it's incredible, and you're going to want a lot of it. And you better get back quickly from Louisiana before I buy it all. Kayla in Fort Worth having craft beer, sour with peaches, vanilla, and cinnamon. I love craft beer descriptions. That's kind of my next phase, guys. I'm both studying, while I continue to study wine, sake and craft beer. So I got my level 1 certification in the Cicerone program, which is kind of like the SOM training for beer people. And my buddy Marcus, who works at Lazarus Brewing here in Austin, is teaching me things on the regular. So starting to pick up those beer things. I had some pretty incredible craft beer from Lazarus last night. Terry, good to see your face in the comments, having some rosé all day. Who else? Larry's having Sway Rosé. Lori's asking, is the 19 Picpoul a wine club only released? I think it might be, if we have any left over. So it's going to be a white and rosé only, white and rosé shipment for the folks who are in our wine club who have opted into the white and rosé shipment, which is coming out very soon. You will get some of this Picpoul. If there's any left over, which I don't know if there will be, then I think we might have a few cases to sell to other folks. Now, pay attention to these 3 things at the end, because if you're excited about this Picpoul like I am, we have some information about how you can get your hands on it if you're not already opted in to the white and rosé shipment. Cool. So stick around for these 3 things. We're going to talk about that. Paul's having baked stuffed scallions tonight. You should be drinking some Picpoul. Just saying. Yes, Brian Snapper. It would absolutely go with that. Dottie drinking Pet Nat in Plains. And yes, guys, little update. This is like if you follow me on the grams, Brian clearly does. A new Tumble 22 opened right down the road from me on Lake Austin Boulevard. So like 5-6 minutes from my house. And on Mondays and Tuesdays, they do $20 picnics, which is enough food for 4 people. So Nashville style hot chicken with wine is like delicious. And I'm going to be eating a lot of that. So I don't know if I want something really high as acid with something as spicy without any like residual sugar. So like Riesling with residual sugar and some spicy chicken would go well, which is actually what I did last night. But you got to be careful with spice. Now, if you're just doing regular fried chicken, a high acid white wine like this, great. Just make sure it's not too spicy because acid and chili spice, they don't play well together sometimes. Cool. All right, guys, time to talk Franciacorta. I want to know from you guys who out there has heard of, who has tried Franciacorta before, because that's what we're going to talk about in the wine nerd section. I've only had it probably less than 5 times total. And every time I've had it, I've loved it. Okay. So I want to throw this up there. I want you guys to be dropping into the comments while I'm presenting on Franciacorta. Okay. The best thing to do when you're trying to pronounce Italian names is to slow down a little bit and you'll do much better. So Franciacorta. Okay, Franciacorta is how you say this. It's not like Franciacorta or anything like that. It's just Franciacorta. Okay, this is both the name of a region and a style of wine. Okay, so the style of wine is named after this region. You guys know what I'm going to do first? Like I almost always do first. It's time for colored pencils and maps because I did not have great geography teachers growing up. We're going to start off with where the heck is this region? What are we talking about? Cheers, guys. Let's do some maps. So we were talking about Piedmont the last couple of days. Hopefully you remember that. Piedmont is over here in orange on the left, kind of like the hip flexor of the boot. Then I want us to come over here. You see Milan and the big white blob right here. Milan, big international airport, well-known city, lots of fashion. So lots of tourism, lots of like celebrities, lots of like high fashion culture. So right next to Milan, about an hour's drive, is this city of Bergamo. Okay, Bergamo, and this little pink blob here. And on the southern end of that pink blob, which guys, we're still like very much in northern Italy here. This is very much like the Italian Alps. Okay, that's Switzerland to the north. So this little pink blob right here, and I'm going to zoom in. This little area, basically directly under where the G in Bergamo is the region of Franciacorta. Okay, I want to show you a zoomed in map eventually, but this is about an hour's drive from Milan. Anybody want to go on vacation? I mean, like major international airport, 1 hour drive. We could be there. It is in the region of Lombardy. Okay, I'm probably mispronouncing that. Lombardy. See this big L word at the top? That's what this whole region in northern Italy, in central northern Italy, is called, is Lombardy. So Franciacorta is a sub-region of the Lombardy region in north central Italy. Y'all remember Valtellina that I talked to you about yesterday? That's this little bubble up here. So it's also in Lombardy. There's this amphitheater-shaped growing region that butts up against a hidden lake. And we got to look at this hidden lake. So let me show you a picture of this hidden lake. Hidden lake 85. Make sure I show you the right picture. Oh, I showed you the wrong one. That's the next one. You need to see the hidden lake picture. 1 second, guys. Sorry, I pulled up the wrong tab. You need to see this guy. Check out that lake. I mean, how stinking stunning is this lake that has mountains basically rising directly out of it? This is Lake Iseo, I-S-E-O. And the Franciacorta growing region butts up right against this lake, which obviously has a lot of impact on the climate and the growing of grapes in this region. But, you know, when Lake Como and a couple of other lakes got really popular, nobody still knew, and still a lot of people don't know about Lake Aseo. They call it the hidden lake because it's surrounded by dense woodlands and soaring peaks. And so you don't actually see the lake until you're like right on top of it. So they say that this is the hidden lake. It causes a really unique microclimate, okay? As you can imagine, if there's a large body of water next to vineyards, it's going to moderate the climate and specifically the temperature. So it doesn't allow things to get too hot or too cold. Also, because it's kind of in this bowl amphitheater because of the surrounding mountains, they have a lot of winds. And winds are really helpful because they keep fungus from growing in the vineyard. Okay, that means that there is a big proportion, and this is actually all of, I forgot, I'm not even doing thing one, I just jumped right in, guys, that 70% of the wine growers, the farmers in this region, are doing organic viticulture. Okay, they're either certified or practicing. And let me show you that other map again. So we're gonna kill the beautiful lake. I feel like I could look at that lake all day. I don't know about you guys, but I am all about how beautiful that lake was. This is what I wanted to show you because it kind of gives you an idea of the topography. So y'all see this red or pink outline around the edges here? So this pink outline is the subregion of Franciacorta. So you see that it butts up against the lake to the north, but then has almost like this amphitheater that all the vineyards sit down inside of this almost like bowl. And because of that, it has a very unique microclimate that gets warm enough to ripen the grapes, but doesn't get so ripe. So like at night, because of the altitude and the cool winds that come down from the mountains, overnight you see a pretty big drop in temperature, which allows the grapes to maintain acidity. And everybody knows if you're going to make good sparkling wine, you've got to have acid in the grapes. That is a key component of sparkling wine, is to have high amounts of acid. And so this topographical setup for this region is very unique, and they're able to grow grapes that are similar to the grapes grown in Champagne. And we're going to get to that in a sec. That's all that you need to know for thing one. I don't know about you guys, but I am ready to go on another field trip already to Franciacorta, especially because it's only 1 hour from Milan. So it's like, let's just hop a plane to Milan. There's plenty of direct flights. Get in a car, 1 hour, we're there. And we get to drink sparkling when we get there. And there's that really incredible lake. We can go like boating and wakeboarding and kayaking and you name it. Cheers, guys. I love it. Some of you are already ready. Asha's ready to go. This is like time for me to dream. So I appreciate you guys like letting me do that with you. Not only am I picking these regions because they're cool and you should know about them and they're fun to study, but also because like, let's talk about how awesome they would be for a vacation. So I'm kind of planning my future vacations when things open back up while I'm teaching wine school. All right. Thing number two, guys. Thing two, you need to know about Franciacorta. And don't forget to drop in the comments if you have questions. All right. And I see some that are coming through. I'm going to go through thing two first, and then I'm going to get to some questions. So feel free to drop them in. Franciacorta is made with a different method of sparkling wine production called metodo classico, different production method than Prosecco, and with very different grapes. Okay, so first of all, let's start with Prosecco because that's one that a lot of people are familiar with, right? Most people know Prosecco. It is an Italian sparkling wine. It's made with the Glera grape, Glera, Glera. That is not a grape that really grows anywhere else. They do a little bit in Australia to make sparkling wine, but Prosecco is made from the Glera grape. And to produce the sparkling part, the sparkling aspect of Prosecco, let me back up a half a step. I'm going to take a drink. This is going to be like, I'm going to need you to stick with me, you know, in class where the teacher was like, okay, if you were zoned out, for all the rest of it, this is where I need you to like really lean in and really pay attention. So I'm gonna take a drink, you take a drink, and we're gonna go on a little sparkling wine production journey together. All right, I hope you're ready for this because this is like high quality stuff. So let's all take a drink. Cheers. It's time to get nerdy. Okay. Most sparkling wine in the world begins its life as a still wine. And really before that, grapes, right? So you get grapes, you make a regular, everyday still wine. Now that still wine that you've made for the purposes of sparkling is usually high in acid, and low in alcohol at this stage of the game. And that's because we're going to do a second fermentation with most of these. And during that second fermentation, we're going to add additional sugar that's going to ferment again and add even more alcohol. So if you start out with a really high alcohol base wine, which is what they call that first still wine, you're going to get an astronomically high in alcohol finished wine. Okay, so you make a still wine, low in alcohol and high in acid. Then, if you're making Prosecco, you're going to put that still wine in a big tank, a big stainless steel tank. If you've spent any time around wine, you've probably seen a bunch of those. Okay, they put a lid on those tanks, they close them up, and they're pressurized, and they pump in. They add a little bit. I'm not going to say pump in. It depends on who's producing it. But in that tank, they add a little bit of wine and sugar and yeast to restart fermentation. So that base wine is already done fermenting, that original base wine. It gets put in a tank, and then they add more yeast, sugar, and wine to start a second fermentation. That second fermentation is happening inside that tank. And while that second fermentation is happening, it releases carbon dioxide that's trapped in the tank with the wine. So that's how Prosecco gets its bubbles, second fermentation in a tank. That's why it's usually called the tank method. Now, the French dude who created that method is called Charmat. And so the other name for tank method is Charmat method. All right, that's Prosecco. Prosecco does second fermentation in tank. That's really all you need to remember. Now let's go back to the beginning because now we need to talk about Franciacorta. You make your base wine, that's just a regular old still wine, and then you put it into a bottle. And I have a pretty little picture to show you, a little diagram to help us think about the traditional method, which is how Franciacorta is made. So thanks again to Wine Folly for this. Madeline Pouquet, who makes these graphics, is incredible. All right, so I'm gonna take this off, okay? So the still wine is made. It can be in a big wooden vat like you're seeing there. It can be in a tank, doesn't matter. You make a still wine, then you put that still wine into a bottle, lots and lots and lots of bottles. And you add what's called a liqueur de tirage. So you see that little second picture there that has a bottle with a little yeast packet and a little droplet? They add a mixture of yeast, sugar, and wine to that bottle to restart the second fermentation. But this time, that second fermentation is going to happen in the bottle, not in a big tank like Prosecco. This is the same method that champagne uses to produce champagne sparkling wines. Let's say that again. So it's the same. Traditional method is the same method as champagne. Franciacorta uses the same method as champagne. So we're talking high quality wine right now. This is a lot of work. Then it goes, after the liqueur de tirage is put in the bottle and it's capped so that second fermentation can take place inside the bottle. It's then aged for a while until they're ready to disgorge the lees, which are the dead yeast cells, out of the bottle before they finish the wine. Sometimes they'll add a little bit of sugar at bottling, sometimes they won't. But this traditional method is how Franciacorta is made. So Big difference between Prosecco Italian sparkling wine, which is the Glera grape, excuse me, Glera grape made in tank, second fermentation in tank, versus, and we're going to talk about the grapes here in a sec, Chardonnay, Pinot Nero, Pinot Bianco, and fermented second fermentation in bottle, which is the traditional method. Okay, so high quality, much more expensive to produce, much more time consuming, much more hands-on. I know that was a lot. You got both the Prosecco, how Prosecco is produced, and how Franciacorta is produced all in one. Let's all take a drink. I'm going to check in the comments, see what kind of questions you guys have for me. Okay. Woo. I love, yes, I'm planning our vacation. You can definitely come with me. I'm going to race you all to the cellars and the wine bars and stay up all night drinking. It's going to be a blast. Asha's asking, is Franciacorta exclusively sparkling wine, or do they make still as well? As far as I know, they are only making sparkling. Now, could they make still wine in this region from the grapes that they have? Yes, they could, but the DOCG, which is the local governing letters, it's the Denominazione Origine Contrôlée. It's like the AOCs of France, right? The DOCG laws require this certain style if they want to put the name Franciacorta on the label. Now, they could probably make like a declassified wine that is still. I've just never heard of that, and I've definitely never seen that in the US. Now, the other thing to know is that only 10% of production is getting exported. So Italians drink 90% of Franciacorta that is produced in the world. So that's one of the reasons probably many of you have never had this. You've never tried it. You've never seen it on a shelf. Not a ton gets out there. And the US is not even the biggest export market for this wine, which is crazy in my mind, because if you guys like champagne, if y'all like sparkling wine, this is some high quality stuff that we should all be drinking more of. So I know it's like studying this, I'm like, why haven't I been drinking more? I need to reach out to my distributor friends and see if I can source some. Like, I am super, super, super stoked about Franciacorta right now. Now, let's talk about the grapes. So thing number 3 is what grapes are being used to produce this wine. So you guys know champagne is Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier mostly. There are a couple of other obscure, lesser grown, lesser used grapes that can be used in champagne. Well, in Franciacorta, Chardonnay constitutes about 80% of production. Let me say it again. Chardonnay is about 80% of grapes grown in the Franciacorta region. That allows that to be kind of the base of all the blends that are used in these sparkling wines, which gives it a really nice, like, acidic base. Pinot Nero, guys, Pinot Nero is the Italian name for Pinot Noir, right? Nero meaning black in Italian versus noir meaning black in French. So Pinot Nero is Pinot Noir. Pinot Bianco is the same thing as Pinot Blanc in French. Okay, Pinot Blanc is also permissible for use in champagne. It's just not very common. Okay, now, and this is brand new, guys, like last probably 5-7 years, they've really gone after this brand new grape that is native to the Brescia area, which is like this tiny little nook in this region called Herbamat. And I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. I've never even heard of this grape before. This is something I learned while studying for today's episode, that they're beginning to use this native variety Herbamat as climate is changing and temperatures are going up in this region, and they struggle to maintain good acid. And acid is key in sparkling wines. And so Herbamat is a late ripening local grape that really helps raise acidity. So if they're harvesting all the grapes, which they do all that by hand, guys, FYI, this is all hand harvested. So if you can imagine, all hand harvested, all secondary fermentation in bottle, lots of labor goes into this wine. If they're harvesting the Chardonnay and the Pinot Nero and the Pinot Bianco and the Herbamat, but the Herbamat is late ripening, meaning it's not yet ripe, that means it's still really high in acid. So all that acidity that will eventually teeter off and become and convert into sugars hasn't happened yet because it's late ripening. So Herbamont is this brand new way for the growers and the producers to deal with global climate change. And this is like a really cool innovation. And they're doing it with a native grape that's already been grown there for a very long time. So super cool. Herbamont, like probably a thing that like nobody out there knows. I totally just learned it this week while I was studying for this. So I've also never heard of it ever. But they're using it in Franciacorta. Cool. So I think that's really all you need to know. The one other term I want to teach you, because I always promise to give you some producer names. When you go find bottles of Franciacorta, so Franciacorta will be the name on the bottle, makes it easy to go find. You can look for the word Franciacorta, is the word Satin. Okay, I'm going to put this Satin, and I'm going to define it as less pressure, more silky. That's how I'm gonna talk about it. So y'all remember in that diagram that I showed you, I'll pull it back up here again, Satin. I'm gonna pull this diagram back up. So that second stage there, where you have your base wine and you put it into a bottle and you pour in the tirage, the liqueur de tirage, to restart a second fermentation, you can choose how much sugar goes with the yeast and a little bit of wine in that mixture. The more sugar that you put, the more fermentation that's going to take place in the higher level of carbon dioxide that's going to be given off during that second fermentation. So higher sugar in the tirage ends with more pressure in the bottle, or a more intensely sparkling wine. If you do lower amounts of sugar in the tirage stage, there won't be as much carbon dioxide, and therefore will be lower pressure and less sparkling in the wine. And what that does is it creates a silkier mouthfeel, a silkier texture that's not as harsh and cutting as some sparkling wines can be. And so they have created this term Satin, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, that they will put on the bottles of Franciacorta to denote a silkier wine. Now, this doesn't mean it's sweeter or less sweet. It doesn't have any indication to do with sweetness levels. This is purely how much pressure was or is going to be in the bottle because of the tirage sugar level. And so if you are a fan of these, I think they're really great. They're a unique version of Franciacorta. So after you try you can get like a brut, regular old classic Franciacorta. You can get a rosé. Guys, they make rosé Franciacorta, and it's really, really, really good. It's probably my favorite style of Franciacorta. And then you can try a Satin Franciacorta, and they can make Satin rosé or regular. Cool. Y'all, we all need to drink some Franciacorta, okay? I'm gonna go look for some this week. You should too. And the producers, as I always promise, guys, for the 19 vintage, I would call Satin the opposite of the William Chris Petnat. This is a great, I'm gonna pull this. This is a great comment. Satin is the opposite of Petnat in pressure. This year's Petnat is especially unique in that respect, okay? Which I think makes it great, okay? Remember, generally speaking, classic, traditional method sparkling will always have more pressure than Petnat does, okay? Now, here are your producer names I want you to go look out for. Cadelbosco, or Sadelbosco. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't know Italian. They're the one that I've seen most prevalently in this market. They are very well known. They show up on restaurant and wine shop menus frequently. I also really love the rosé from Contade Castaldi. I have had that many times, and I do love it. I know previously I've gotten that at Austin Wine Merchant. A couple of other names, Fergatina and Berlucchi. The Berlucchi family has a couple of different family members with their own labels. So if you see a different first name, there's a big family and they own multiple vineyards and multiple wineries in this region. All these guys are making quality stuff. You should be able to find all of these in the Texas market if you want to go find some Franciacorta. Guys, think about this. This is like the champagne, if you will, the champagne of Italy. It's even more champagne-like then cava is, right? A lot of people call cava the champagne of Spain because it's also made in the traditional method, but the grapes are totally different. Well, most of the grapes of Franciacorta are the same grapes that are being grown in the Champagne region. So like it's even more similar because it's the same method and mostly the same grapes. So you should check it out if you're a fan of sparkling wine like me. You should have it with fried chicken. You should have it as an aperitif. They traditionally serve, and I should have mentioned this, which I didn't. They traditionally serve Franciacorta as an aperitif wine. There has been a movement towards less and less sugar in these wines, so they are traditionally very dry in style, carrying 7 grams or less per liter, which is a very small amount, especially with the high acidity. So think about things like salty charcuterie, nuts, cheeses. It's a great aperitif wine. Olives. There are longer aged versions like reservas and what they call like vintage Franciacorta, Melisama. It's basically the same as melisme in French, but the Italian word for it, which is a vintage Franciacorta. They have longer aging requirements and would be more well suited to traditional, I would say traditional champagne food pairings, which where you can really get into food. If you want to be like fried chicken and Franciacorta like me, if you want to do foie gras, if you want to do oysters, I mean, it's kind of endless depending on the style. So Reserva always means longer aging in Italy. So if you want to look for a longer aged one and you really like that yeasty, toasty note on traditional method sparkling wines, you should go look for the Reservas because it's like minimum 5 years on the lees. Cool. All right, guys. Woo, that is a lot of information. This is a good question here I'm going to answer before I jump into these 3 things. Estimated retail cost of Franciacorta. It's cheaper than champagne for sure, but it is traditional method sparkling, so the production process is very labor intensive and very expensive to make and grow. And then you have export tax and stuff on top of that. I have found good ones in the like 35 to 45 range here in Texas. I think you can find quality versions between $30 and $45, which is totally reasonable for a high quality traditional sparkling wine, like traditional method sparkling wine. I love them. Let's see. I think there was one other. Somebody's asking me, can I publish my notes from the happy hour? So this is something I've been thinking a lot about, like the idea of a podcast, these like the 3 things you need to know about, and maybe we could have like an archive of my tips, my notes, and then like links, because I do a lot of studying during the week to like make sure I know what I'm talking about, and I'm continuing to learn alongside you guys. So I like this idea. I'm gonna think about that. So Chris, I appreciate the question. Let me get back to you. All right. Guys, it's time for these 3 things. There is important information about this Picpoul. So cheers. Thanks for hanging with me through a long wine nerd section today. Let's dig into this special information about the Picpoul, etc. Okay, number 1, we first need to talk about the virtual tasting, because this week it's 100% Texas Cab. We have not done that before. Okay, we have not done that before. So if you haven't already, need to go get this virtual tasting pack. All right, go get it. It's 2 verticals from 2 different vineyards. So 2014 and 2015 of 2 different vineyard Texas Cabs. It's going to be epic. Chris and Catherine doing it on Saturday. The link is right there in the comments. Go pick up your virtual tasting pack if you haven't already. There are already, I know, like hundreds of you that have done that. So good on you. You don't want to sit on this one and miss it. Those are libraried wines that we're pulling out for virtual tasting. So that's special. That's very special. Okay. I love to see somebody like, I already got mine. Reed, well done. Good on you. You need to go get it if you haven't already. You can pick up those packs at curbside. You should pick up those packs at curbside. Like, take the drive. I did it today. I rolled up to curbside, got to say hi through my mask, and see all my amazing colleagues out at the vineyard. Okay, now here's the information that y'all were asking about. So let's talk for a sec about this delicious special. We've never done a Picpoul before. First one ever at William Chris. Okay, 19 Picpoul is going to be in our white and rosé release. If you are already opted in as a wine club member to the white and rosé release, this is in your shipment. Now, I will tell you, we didn't make a ton of it. So if you know you're going to like it already, you can order additional, add extra Picpoul to your shipment. Okay, drop an email to the wine club email address that you see there. If you are a high society member that is not opted in to white and rosé, you should opt in to white and rosé. You're going to get that Malbec rosé that was in the virtual tasting pack from last week, which is my favorite rosé that we do. You're going to get this Picpoul and some other amazing wines. I don't even remember all the ones that are in it. So if you're already a member, but you haven't opted into the white and rosé release, shoot an email to the wine club email that's right there in the comments that you see on my screen underneath my face, and opt in, because I don't know how much leftover Picpoul that we're going to have, because we didn't make a lot of it. Okay. And this guy on your screen is going to take a lot of it home before you guys have it. No, I'm just kidding. I can't drink that much, but I'm gonna drink a lot of it, and you should too. This wine is stupid good. If you're a fan of crisp acidic white wines, like I've been waiting on us to make a Picpoul for the almost 2 years that I've been working at William Chris, and I'm so glad it's happening. Okay, so that's the Picpoul news that you asked for. I cannot promise that it will be available to the general public, because we don't know how much our wine club, and specifically the folks that opt into the white and rosé release, are going to ask for. So we only end up offering it to the public if the white and rosé release opt-in people don't ask for it, and then the general wine club doesn't buy it up by opting in. So if it's still left over, maybe you get some. I don't know. I can't promise that. The best way to do it, become a wine club member and opt into the white and rosé release, because you get the special wines that we don't make a lot of. And this is special. Cheers. Tomorrow, guys, we are going to stay on this Northern Italy kick. I am very stoked to teach tomorrow about Valpolicella. But tomorrow I'm going to drink the 17 Lehe Grenache. It's a wine that I'm a big fan of right now. I think it's one of the most beautiful, elegant, lifted aromatic wines that William Chris makes. So now that we're keeping this train going with happy hour, I'm going to be drinking some wines that I love. So 17 Grenache from Lehe Vineyard, and we're going to learn all about Valpolicella to continue our Northern Italy jaunt to plan more vacations. Guys, it's been a blast. I'm going to have to take a swig out of the bottle because my glass is empty. I want to shout out today and cheers to, so this is my cheers to, guys. Cheers to the William Chris Vineyards vineyard management team and the winemaking team, guys. Harvest has started to pick up. The team, Chris, and I know Leah, our marketing director, were out early this morning before the sun came up to pick at Salt Lick Vineyards. We harvested some Syrah. Guys, and over the next 8 to 10 weeks, those teams are going to be putting all of their energy and sweat and blood and tears into harvesting the best grapes in Texas for you guys to make the best wines in Texas. And so I just really want to shout out the vineyard management team and the winemaking team, who are starting the 8 to 10 week journey, which is grueling, round the clock processing, harvesting, etc. of grapes. So cheers to them and all the hard work that they're putting in to make great wine for the rest of us. So cheers, guys. I love you. Thanks for nerding out with me today. I'll see you right here tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Bye-bye.